Hello, everybody. My name is Leanna Cox, and I'm going to be talking to you today about what a little bit about social prescribing, and talking to you about the 5 ways to well-being. Okay, so I thought I'd start off with a little bit about me. Testament to this on there is the top right-hand corner is anxious now, and I am very anxious this morning about doing this presentation for you guys. So I hope I come across okay. One of my main passions is health and well-being, hence why I'm a social prescriber, and I'm here today to talk to you about health and well-being. I'm normally very organised, apart from when I'm a little bit anxious. I'd like to think that I'm quite a caring and kind person. However, I do worry about what other people think of me, so that's just part of being anxious, I guess. I'm very sensitive, and I'd like to think that I'm quite kind. I'm not a big lover of big crowds. I like small groups, but they're the things that we. Oh, we have no sound.
Oh, okay.
Can anybody hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now, Hayley. Can you hear me?
Thank you, David.
Shall I carry on, or shall I wait?
Leanna, do you have sound?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
You do? Okay. Okay, I'll let you carry on, Leanna, and then Stacey and I will try and figure out why we don't have sound. And
okay, so I'll just
we'll come back as soon as we can.
Okay. Okay, so I hope everyone.
Thank you, Leanna.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I'll carry on and put in the chat if there's anything you want me to stop. So as I was saying, I'm a little bit anxious this morning, not helped by the loss of sound, but I'll just carry on. And if you have any questions along the way, then feel free to pop them in the chat as we go along. So I'll talk a little bit about social prescribing. I'm not sure if many of you are aware of what it is. It's now available for everyone that is registered with a GP practice, so most, the majority of the population. And a social prescribing link worker, we can meet with people who are struggling with issues that they may go to their GP with that aren't medical, but they're affecting their health and well-being. And the most important thing that we have that perhaps GPs don't have is time. We can have up to an hour appointments with people. So it gives people that time to sort of express what's going on in their life. And the question is, what matters to you? And that's what we can take the time to explore. So this little sort of diagram explains a little bit more. So it may be that people are struggling with their finances, or they want to be more connected to people, they want to be healthier, or they just want some support with their mental well-being, or they want some help to get back into work or training, or they're just struggling to put food on the table. Now, all of these things, will affect your physical health, but actually they're not necessarily things that the GP can help with. So what your GP will do is signpost to, like myself, a social prescriber, and then we can have a sort of a chat about these things and sort of help signpost you to activities or organisations that can help with any issues that are going on in your life. My husband, bless him, did this diagram for me last week. He drew this, and it's just like I think it's a very good visual of explaining what social prescribing is. So we're able to do home visits. As I said, we can attend people when COVID and the restrictions have relaxed a little bit more on coffee mornings and sort of groups are up and running. I can help accompany people to them for the first time, because obviously a lot of people want to go to these things but are actually very anxious about going on their own. So part of my role is to accompany people with them, to be that one person that they know. As I said, the question is, what's important to you? So it could be, so there's signpost in there to food banks. You might want to volunteer. You might be struggling with a long-term condition that's affecting your general everyday to day life. So it could be that we could help and support with things like that. I've got a really simple thing that I've done recently. A lady has become housebound, and she's not on online or doing anything, and she's getting a little bit bored and frustrated, and it transpires that she likes jigsaws and puzzle books. Now I've got a small budget that I could send her some, some activities to do from home, and that's like more maybe the pink and fluffy side, but actually it was really important to her to have somebody who listened to her, and two, that actually took the time to sort of find out what she wanted and give her some information. This afternoon we've set up a walking group for people who want to get back out and about, who are struggling with going out and seeing people again, or just need that little bit of exercise. It's a very low level group. So this is just like an example of all the different things that social prescribing can offer. So one of the main bases of social prescribing is about sort of well-being. So what is well-being? That's sort of when you feel good and enjoy your life day to day, and that you don't feel that there's anything that's affecting you too adversely. So this is where the 5 ways to well-being come in, and it's a very good staple that sort of stands behind social prescribing. And each one of these we will look at individually throughout this presentation, and each different, and work out what actions we can take to actually help make a positive difference to how we feel. And it's about sort of, it's not just one thing. It could be a combination of of all sorts of different things. And we all face different challenges in life, some big, some small, and they're different, and they are, they're different for all of us. Sometimes we feel drained and we don't know how to cope. So these tips have been scientifically proven that actually if you do them, they will improve your sort of mental well-being, which in turn will hopefully help your physical well-being and sort of make life a lot easier as we go along. And it's about the life choices that we make. So what are the 5 ways to well-being? So the 5 ways to well-being are connect, keep learning, be active, give, and take notice. There's an acronym called CLANG, which is for the CLAG. I've got the N and the G the wrong way around, but the CLANG. So that's like an acronym that you could use to remember the 5 ways to well-being. And these were introduced sort of alongside, we've all heard of the 5 a day fruit and veg for health, for physical health. So the 5 ways to well-being were designed as the mental health equivalent of these, which I think is really great. So sort of goes alongside. So eat your 5 fruit and veg a day and actually try and remember the 5 ways to well-being. And I think that's like a really good way of sort of remembering, and that our mental health is equally as important, as not more so than our physical health, and how they both go together. So let's look at the first one. So the C is for connect, and that's social connections. So evidence shows that good connections with the family and all people around you are really, really important for our mental well-being. And we all have connections in our lives, be them friends or family. And actually, it's also not just about connecting with other people, but it's very important to learn to connect with yourself as well. And having those quiet moments, sort of going out into nature or taking some time for yourself to maybe just to get your thoughts in order, or connecting with nature or your pets or just family around you. So there's lots of different aspects to connect. So it's not just other people around you, but it's about yourself as well. And it's been proven that happy people do have stronger social networks, and as I said earlier, they all sort of go hand in hand, really. As I said, be aware of we can also talk about negative connections. So not all connections that we have in our life are positive. It could be that we have people that in our lives that actually bring us down, and it's again being aware of that and managing our expectations of people and the responsibilities that we have in our life. If we're a carer for somebody, or we have to manage how we feel about that, and about balance. And I think with all things in life, it's about keeping that balance between good and bad, and good connections, bad connections, and making sure that you're feeling sort of positive in yourself and how we manage that. Ultimately, we're in control of our lives, we're in the driving seat, so it's about making sensible choices to make sure that we live in a really sort of happy and healthy life, really. So I don't know if you wanted to pop any answers in the chat. So can you think of any connections that you would like to make or remake that you think might help with your sort of mental well-being? I don't know if Hayley and Stacey have any ideas on this one.
Yeah, I can think of a lot of people who I've lost touch with over the pandemic as well. Some good friends who I've not seen in a long time, not even spoken to. So, yeah, there's a lot of lovely people who I am keen to reconnect with.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And I think as maybe as restrictions ease, it's going to be that little bit easier to reconnect with people. And yeah, so I'm hoping that a lot of the people I see in my role of being very lonely and isolated, and I'm sure many of you have been, and it's now about making those, as you say, making and remaking those connections to sort of build it up again. And because we're human beings, we're made for contact, we're made for connections. And actually the pandemic has made things a lot harder because we haven't been able to not only to see people, but you can't hug people, you can't, and we're sociable beings. So yeah, I think it's very important that for us to make connections and but also to be aware, as I mentioned, of any bad connections, and keeping that balance in life. Okay. So the next one is of the CLANG acronym is L. So keep learning. So all skills, anything that you can learn in life is really positive. But keep learning isn't just about going back to college or getting a qualification. It can be there's many things that you can learn in your life, and we often struggle to be motivated. And again, through lockdown is a perfect example of some people have used it to really increase and do lots of things, and other people have retreated and found it really difficult. It can come. Engaging with the 5 ways to wellbeing is about being more satisfied in life, and learning can boost self-confidence and self-esteem and help us connect with other people. And also be aware of the comments I hear people say. It's like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this course, or I have to go out and do this. And it's like, make a difference. You don't always have to. Do you want to? And I think the language that we use with ourselves is really important as well. You don't always have to do things, but if you want to do it, then you're going to be more likely to be able to do things. And it's about changing the mindset of the language that we use for ourselves as well.
I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
I know that was one thing that I found that I was doing quite a lot was, lots of shoulds, lots of I have to do this, lots of I need to. And it's much more helpful to think about, right, what do you actually want to do, and think about how it's going to feel good.
Yeah, and it is really, but it's not. We don't always find that easy to do we? Because we do get overloaded with, I've got to do this. I should do this, and it's like, actually, slow down. Let's take some time to see what is it that you want to do. As I said, it's not about maybe doing a college course. What about maybe you want to learn to cook, or just learn to cook a different meal? It's all learning. It's all new stuff, or anything that you're curious about, or you want to ask friends about. Learning could be anything. I had one person to fit in with the learning, which made me chuckle. She got hold of a dictionary and wanted to learn like 2 different words a day. And I just thought that was brilliant. It's like, because there's so many words of language out that we don't understand, that we may not understand. And she sort of kept like a list of all these new words. And it's like, I thought that was a brilliant way to implement learning in your day-to-day life. So I thought that was really good.
I love that. It's so easy to do as well.
It is, isn't it? And as I said, they don't have to be big things, but if we can implement little bits and pieces from each of these 5 elements, I think it's surprising sort of how much it will improve and how we feel better about ourselves as well.
I had a really lovely moment with a client recently where she kind of shifted from that, like, I have to do something, into I want to. And the big shift that happened for her was recognizing some reward around the effort and the time that she put into something. Yeah. And she was just amazed to see like the difference that it had for her in terms of like that internal motivation. And all of a sudden she felt encouraged to want to do more, as opposed to feeling like it was something that she had to do based on what other people's expectations and stuff were. So I thought that was just wonderful.
Brilliant. I love that. Yeah, and why shouldn't we reward ourselves? We all have busy lives, and it's like, if we do X, Y, and Z, then we're going to have a bath, or I'm going to do something really nice for ourselves. So yeah, why not? I think that's brilliant. So is there anything that you think that you would like to learn more about, or anything that interests you that you think, oh, maybe I could do that to sort of implement learning into your everyday lives?
Yeah, it'd be nice to hear some ideas in the chat. For me, I've just ordered a book on dog training, so I'm getting a dog. So that's my new thing.
Awesome. Oh, brilliant. That's a lot of learning there.
For you and the dog.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, you're going to be quite busy then.
Absolutely.
Last couple months, I've been learning how to cook from scratch and how to grow my own vegetables. So that's been absolutely wonderful.
That's brilliant.
It's been such a nice way to feel more connected to nature in some way as well, actually, just through that process of preparing vegetables and then cooking them. And it's been such a really mindful kind of practice, and has actually really helped with in terms of feeling more confident within myself, because
that's brilliant.
So enjoyable. And then also I'm like, oh, I'm not actually a bad cook.
I think I could take a leaf out of
put the effort into it.
I'm not very good at cooking. I should probably add that to my list of things I need to learn is cooking. Okay. Has anyone else want to pop anything in the chat about what they would like to learn more about, or any ideas?
Have you got an idea, Leanna?
Oh, for me, there's one thing I've always wanted to do and I've never got around to. I quite fancy learning British Sign Language. But I've always been, funnily enough, too anxious to do it, but I keep putting it off. But I think it's something that I would really like to do. So maybe now I've vocalized it to you guys, maybe now I'll have to do it. Yeah, you're going to hold me accountable.
Yeah, I would quite like to learn that as well, actually. I was thinking about that the other day, because it's such a nice way to or is it inclusivity, isn't it, of ensuring that you're able to communicate with more and more people. So
yeah, and I think people will be surprised if you do learn it, and even just to do something basic back, and it'll make their day. It's about, which then leads nicely later into the give part, but it's like giving stuff back and making people inclusive, isn't it? So, awesome. Okay. So A is for being active. And again, we've all always bombarded with how much physical activity can help with your well-being and make you feel a lot better and reduce rates of sort of depression and anxiety. And it does cause chemical changes in the brain, that sort of feel-good hormone. I run occasionally. I'm not very good at it, but I don't do it because I particularly love running, but I do it because I get that it's the happy hormones at the end of it that I feel like I've done something good and something good for my body. So. And it says there, a single bout of 10 minutes of physical activity can positively improve your mood. But again, it's not about necessarily going out for a run. Different people have different health conditions. And as we age, we're able to do little or different activities. So it could be going out for a walk around the garden. The walking group that I mentioned that is on this afternoon, I've got an 81-year-old gentleman who's suffered numerous strokes, and he just goes from bench to bench. It's at the Helston Boating Lake, so it's literally he goes from one bench to the next bench, and then he'll go to the next bench. It's not for how far he goes, but it's massive for him, and he can have a rest, and that's his his little bit of activity, and he loves it. So it's not about massive things. It could be going out, say, pottering around the garden, going for a walk with a friend. Any small bit of activity, even sort of share yoga or some exercises and stretches at home, but just something that will sort of get those happy hormones flowing and stuff as well. And also, if you could get that little bit of physical activity, if people are struggling with sleep particularly, then obviously if they've been a little bit more active, then they're going to be that little bit more tired at the end of the day, which hopefully then will enable them to sleep a little bit better. So there's lots and lots of benefits to being active. Mental fatigue can be overcome by physical health as well. So it's not about physical tiredness, but also mental tiredness. It's about engaging your brain. We've all had days when we've done absolutely nothing, but actually we're really tired. But tired from doing nothing. And I think sometimes we are much better. But it's very hard sometimes to motivate ourselves to actually get out and do it. So maybe talk to a friend. Sort of as you've just done to me. Make someone accountable for that little thing that you do. And pair up with someone and. Just taking time to use our time more productively. That's going to help those chemical changes. So what do you guys do for physical activity? Hayley, I know you've done running in the past.
I have in the past.
Are you doing it at the moment?
No, I haven't run for a long time, actually, over a year. And it's an area that I find quite challenging. So I've had a little word with myself recently. And I've reduced the goal. So I feel like I need to do something big or go for a run or something in order to sort of fulfill this. So I've had to kind of go, okay, I'm going to like walk up the hill and see the ponies at the top of the hill. And then if I want to walk further, I will. But I'm like, it's just that small little bit to get me started.
Yeah.
And I did the same with running. Like, I'm just going to put my shoes on, run around the block. If I want to go further, I will. If not, it's okay to finish it there. And I feel like for me, I really need to take the pressure off when it comes to physical activity.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. And then sometimes it is about taking just that little step, and it's like, I'll put my trainers on. And for me, sometimes I struggle just to get out the door. At the times I've sat here in my running kit and I can't do it because I'm worried the whole world's going to see me and I'm going to be rubbish, and then I don't go, and then I beat myself up for not going. And that's probably when I noticed in the chat that David, you've gone to the gym. Excellent, the fact that you've gone to the gym, because that can be a huge challenge for people who are struggling with anxiety. You know, I've stopped going to the gym in the past for that very reason. So that's amazing. And the row machine, that's really tough. So well done on doing that. What about you, Stacey?
I've been like, I really struggle to get out the door and initially start that running. And I go through phases of, having that courage to start off again, and I can stick with it for a little while. And then the second I stop, I find all those anxieties start creeping back in again. And it takes quite a long time actually for me to get back into a position where it's like, I'll get out the door in my running kit.
Yeah, no,
and I'm in that place again right now where it's like, I know I want to go for a run, but all the anxiety is just like,
Yeah, I totally feel you. Do you go on your own? Because sometimes I find it helpful to run with a friend.
Yeah, I actually feel like I would prefer to start by myself.
Okay.
Just to get like back into, I don't know, just to feel comfortable with just being outside and doing it.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
And I think again right now as well, the added anxiety is that I'm in a new place as well. So I've not run around this area before, and it's like, what route do I take? Where am I going to go? How challenging is it going to be? So
you need to go for a walk.
A lot of questions to work through.
Yeah, you need to go for a walk, suss out the area, work out where the hills are, avoid that bit.
But yeah, I'm working up to it. I know at some point I'm just going to have to put on the shoes and go.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you. I've got all the gear, but just no idea really, and then I just never get out the door. Oh dear, what are we like? Okay,
one of the most helpful things for me has been to do yoga classes, and it was just a small yoga class that I was going to, but having that commitment to someone else to show up to their yoga class every week really made a difference. Brilliant. And it's amazing the difference that I can feel that made to both my mindset and my body. Wow. Just without going for a few weeks, I could really feel that I hadn't been. So it's been a year now, so I'm really looking forward to getting back to that.
But yoga is great because that incorporates so many things of the ways to well-being, doesn't it? You know, sort of mental, physical, you know, being active. It's like, you know, and you're learning something new as well. So that's amazing. Do you do anything? Did you do anything online sort of throughout lockdown, yoga wise, or?
Yeah, a little bit, not very much. I just found it really tough to get motivated over lockdown.
Yes, and that's yeah. I don't know about you guys, and you know, all you guys. It's like through lockdown, it's like in theory you had all this time and you could have done amazing things, but actually it was about and I didn't. But I guess also it was about survival, wasn't it? It was about all of us finding our individual ways of getting through what, you know, is a massive once in a lifetime global pandemic. But it's about not beating yourself up, because I think, oh, I've got all this time. I should have done this, this, and this. I should have been amazing at this by now. And it's like, actually, I've done nothing.
There's that should again.
Yeah.
Creeps in, doesn't it?
But I think, you know, the last 12, 18 months have been very challenging, haven't they? And I think we've all just managed to do what we need to do to sort of get through and support each other. So,
yeah.
Which
I've been learning about the completing the stress cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I've learned is that the most effective way to complete the stress cycle is physical activity. So it doesn't matter what that is, whether it's like jumping up and down on the spot, or even like just having a good cry, you know, when you really get into your crying. Yeah.
Yes. It's all therapeutic, isn't it? And it changes your body, doesn't it? It changes what goes on in your body, and it's all, as you say, completing that cycle, no matter what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, because I think like when I talk about completing the stress cycle, we've got like the external stressors in the world, so the things that are, the problems in the world, that things that are challenging for us. But then we've got the stress inside of us, and they're two very different things. And we tend to think that when one thing has been dealt with, so let's say the pandemic's over, we're going out into the world again, and we think, yeah, that stress is gone. But if we haven't dealt with it internally, it's still with us. Our bodies don't actually know that that stress is over.
No.
So we need to do something physical to let our bodies know that actually we're safe, we're okay. And like the things that you're discussing today are all amazing ways to do that. It's like physical activity. Got a little list of the top things here. It's physical activity, breathing activities, like you were saying, positive social interaction, like a 20-second hug or a good laugh with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then crying and creativity are just amazing ways
Love
to
it.
complete it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, we're not used to being in such a long stress cycle, I think, with the pandemic, because it's been such a long time. Most things in life that cause us stress don't tend to last that long. And as you say, it's like we've been in it for so long, it's actually, you do have to find a practical and actual way of getting out of it. It might not happen by itself. Like you say, the world's opening up again, but actually, you're right, we've got to find a way of telling our bodies that it's okay. We are safe. It is okay to do that. And just finding whatever way, as you say, that. And I like the crying, it could be anything, couldn't it? It could be if you've got a punch bag, having a punch bag,
Yeah.
or even screaming into a pillow, or all those things. They're all good for releasing sort of anxiety and being able to move forward. So it's certainly been a random year to deal with.
I read something really interesting about like those two great examples that you just said, Leanne, about crying into a pillow or punching something. That like the best, like if you really want like the positive impacts from it, then it has to be done with mindfulness and intention.
Okay.
So like if you're going to like scream into a pillow or something, like really feel that scream within you and allow it to like really come up and out. Otherwise, it's just kind of like mindless screaming. So if there's that mindful element of like feeling all the emotions that are within it as well, then that's what like releases all that kind of suppressed or built-in tension within the body.
Even you talking about it, it just makes sense. It's like, yes, if you're going to release it, let's let it go. Yeah. Yeah, I think I might be doing that.
Yeah, I think David said here that there's a worry that the world will open up and you'll be left behind. And I think that's something that a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah.
It's kind of we haven't seen other people and we don't know what's been going on in their lives. And it's easy to feel like we're the only ones that are kind of like, a lot of us feel like we've taken backward steps through the pandemic. And we imagine that everyone else is exactly where they were when we last saw them, or they've progressed because it's been another year. But that's not, it's not the case, and everyone is struggling, and everyone is going to have to adapt to a new way of life again, because we've adapted to being in this isolated state, and this feels safe for us now. Definitely. So it's going to take time, and it's not going to be easy to come out of that for everybody.
And it's small steps as well, and it's like, don't feel like you have to rush back out and go to the pub and have a meal and go to the cinema and go to the zoo. You don't have to do any of those things, and it's like one of the next things I want to do in my role is to set up what I call Cup of Companions, and it's literally for anyone who's feeling isolated, we'll just meet up at a cafe and have a coffee, and there might be 4 or 5 other people who are feeling exactly the same as you are, feeling really anxious, haven't been very far, quite anxious about going out into public, and actually having a cup of tea with someone or a cup of coffee with people who are feeling the same as you is, for me, is that just that little small step back into some sort of normality. So that's one of the next things I want to do. And I will encourage you all, if you are struggling with this type of stuff, do speak to your GP and ask about seeing a social prescriber, because these are the sort of activities that the social prescribers can actually help with. And I think every GP surgery in Cornwall now has access to a social prescriber. So please, that's what we're there for. We're there to help with all these type of things, and we can focus on the 5 ways to wellbeing and help you back out of lockdown into the new normal, whichever way that's going to look, really.
Whatever that means for each of us.
Yeah, and and that's the other thing. It is going to be different for each and every one of us. And as you say, some people have gone through a lot of trauma through lockdown. Other people will have sailed through it. It's not going to be the same for everybody. But talk to people. We're all there to help, and talk to your friends and your family, and you know, and again, get those things out. Try not to hold them in. So, which leads us
that's
quite
a good
nicely
point.
onto taking notice. And again, you've already mentioned sort of about mindfulness as well. And it's about, you know, we quite often we just bimble through life, don't we? You know, we do the things that we do every day. We get up, we might take the kids to school, or we go to work, or all of our lives are busy, you know, in certain ways. But actually take the time to see what's around you. Feel the sensations that you feel, be them happy or anger. Just take a notice of them. And if you're out and about, take notice, you know, of nature, you know, listen to the birds, see the colours of the trees. And you guys are probably aware, there's, you know, the take 5. It's like, if you're out and about, I never remember the actual order, but it's like they do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like, notice 5 things that you see, 4 things that you can smell, or 3 things that you can hear, and then it, you know, and what you can taste, and all these things, and actually take notice, because it's surprising. And also, while you're doing that, you're not thinking of anything else. You're literally living in the moment, and I think that's so important. And that's a very simple way of doing some mindfulness, of just literally taking in the environment around you, becoming more aware of the present moment, of the sights and the smells. And again, that will help keep us calm when we're sort of trying to get back into this new normal. And we're not, as I said, we're not always focused on that, because we're thinking, oh, we've got to go and pay a bill, we've got to pick the kids up, we've got to do the shopping, oh my god, what we're going to have for tea. And it's like, there's so many things that we have to do. But actually, if we can take 5-10 minutes, if even as little as that a day, just to pay attention to things that are going on in your life, and just stop and reflect. I mean, 5-10 minutes, I'm sure we can all manage that a little bit, just to, you know, take that time to pause and just spend some time. And also be aware of your thoughts. Are they positive thoughts? Are they negative thoughts? You know, and what's going on in your, you know, what's going on in your mind at the moment, and what can you do to sort of help, and, you know, and but talk to people as well. And breathing, and you guys are very good, you know, promoting sort of that. I know I did before I started this. It was like, let's take a big deep breath, and it does help. You know, it calms your body down. So if you are feeling stressed, take that, you know, take a few deep breaths in and relax. Take notice of how your body's feeling before and after, and you know, you do tend to relax a little bit by just doing those, just doing those little things. Yeah, be attentive and just see what's out there in your life. I mean, do you guys do any of sort of the you know, things to take notice at the moment, and what could you do more of, do you think? Can anyone pop anything perhaps in the chat about what you think you could take more notice of?
So last week, I decided that I wanted to go take a walk down to the harbour, and by myself, which I hadn't done for a long time, of actually going outside alone. And also then remembering that all the pubs had just recently opened up, and I was aware that there might be a lot of people around down there. And as I started walking down to the harbour, I could feel myself feeling kind of more and more self-conscious, and some of those anxieties started creeping in, and I was feeling kind of exposed. And yeah, I think the way in which, like, I really managed that situation for myself and really calmed myself down was doing exactly what you just shared. And that was, I looked up to the sky, I paid attention to like the shapes of the clouds, I looked at the trees, and just like really took in kind of like all the smells, because there was lots of new different smells around now as well.
Yes, yeah.
I hadn't smelled in a long time, and was like, oh, miss that smell. Like all the food cooking and stuff, it was really nice. And that really just kind of helped take me out of that state of feeling so focused, like, and that sense of like feeling like everyone was like looking at me and watching me, which obviously wasn't the case at all. Everyone was just involved with their own stuff. But yeah, taking my attention outwards and just paying attention to like the shapes of things, the color of the sky, the smells that were around was so helpful. And also it kept my head up as well, so I wasn't like focusing on looking down and like making myself more smaller.
Yeah.
So excellent. That had a really nice impact too.
Oh, that's brilliant. And did you enjoy your walk?
I did, yeah. I went for a paddle.
Oh, awesome. One of the things I've noticed, I think it was this week, or I think probably this week or last week, that I hadn't even realised was missing. I was we were out walking, and I, like yourself, looked up to the sky, and there was planes. goes, you know, and their trails, and it's like we haven't seen that for so long, and it's like I didn't even realize it was missing. So it's being aware of all these, as you say, they're not new things, but they're new within the last 12 months of seeing a plane in the sky. It's like we've not seen that, you know. And it is about just taking time to notice things around you, just to take stock and relax, and rather than letting your heads run away with this, which we all do, and it is so easy to do, isn't it? So does anyone else pop anything in the chat about what you can do to take notice, or how you think you can bring it, you know, you can take it forward?
Stacey and I have actually been taking a course which has incorporated this recently, and it's about dealing with those kind of saboteurs that you have. For Stacey and I, it's usually like being avoidant.
Yeah.
And the idea is that like you spend just 2 minutes is enough to really pay attention to the present moment. And that might be tuning into the sound of your breath, the sound of the birds outside. It might be looking around you. It might be, you know, touching the bark on a tree as you're out walking or something, or just like feeling the lines on your fingers. But the idea is that your mind will wander, but you can bring it back. And the more that you bring it back to the present moment, the more control you have over your thoughts. So the more you get to stay in the present moment instead of those anxious thoughts about the future or those depressive thoughts about the past.
Love that. That's
It's freeing just to be like 2 minutes is enough.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing to remember, isn't it? We don't have to spend half a day doing something for it to make a difference. It's that whole adage, isn't it, of little and often, with that it doesn't matter what it is in life. And I think that's a perfect example. And so the more we do it, the more connections we make, and yeah, hopefully the better we'll feel. That course sounds amazing.
Yep, it has challenged us.
I can imagine.
I think that's also another really like important thing to remember as well, that if you do start doing these practices, like there may be moments where actually it does feel quite challenging, and maybe there's a part of you that wants to fight back and wants to resist it, because it's, you know, you are essentially retraining your brain to operate in a different way, and in a, you know, responding in ways that are perhaps feel slightly unfamiliar to you. So there can always be that sense of resistance. And yeah, I think it's permission for those moments to happen, but also not to give them the power that they're trying to seek.
I love that word, permission. And that you're right. It's like, because if you've not been doing these things, then your brain's not used to it, and it's like, and it will fight back when and it's like, no, I need to do this. Give myself permission. And I love that word. I'm giving myself permission to do this, and as you say, for it to not fight back. So that's brilliant. I love it. I'm quite intrigued by your course. So the last one that we're talking about is give. And again, this can come in many forms. So one of the things that I loved, you know, is that the whole kindness, you know, small acts of kindness, random acts of kindness. And that could be anything from holding the door open for someone, you know, or, you know, right up to sort of volunteering. There's many ways that you can give, but it's also giving time to yourself. You know, it's not always a physical act of giving an actual item or time, but it's actually give yourself time to be you, and to, you know, to give yourself the self-worth, and help strengthen relationships. And there's also a difference between giving through obligation as well, you know, things that you have to do, and that's actually, you know, through duty. And it depends on your frame of mind. You know, you can, you know, the difference that you can make, not only to yourself as the person giving something, but to the person who's receiving. And it's equal. You know, there's no less by giving than receiving. And I think it's really important. I mean, it could be like, give a compliment to someone. I know when I'm out walking or running, I will always make the effort to speak to anyone who's coming in the opposite direction. And I would say probably 80% of people respond. There's some people that don't, but I think, what does it take to just say morning or hello or lovely dog or whatever? Do you know what I mean? And it's just a little something that actually and one thing I have learned is that person that I've said hello to, I could be the only person that's spoken to them all day. You have no idea how much that little comment could make to somebody. So yeah, it could be anything. It could be given away to someone in the car who's pulled out in front of you, and it's like, no, after you. Just little things throughout the day. But as I said, give yourself time to connect to yourself and how you're feeling. It's not about always giving to other people. Give to yourself. You're number one. You're important. And I'm very aware of the phrase, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're feeling down or not in a good place, how can you help other people? So give yourself time as well. Make a wish to yourself. I always think that's really good. What is it that you would really like? Say something, in your head. It's like, oh, I would like this. You don't have to tell anyone, and you can write it down. And I also find journaling. I don't know if you guys do journaling. I sort of keep a journal and write things down. One of my most important things I recommend to people, and I do, is like keep a list of the 3 things that have happened today that's been really good for you. There's always something that's happened throughout the day. It could be that the sun's come out. It could be that you saw a flower or you fed a bird, or it could be something huge that you've done. But it's about giving yourself that time and, and help other people. Also, it's like how we receive. If someone's giving us something, how often just when somebody gives us a compliment do we go, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. We don't know how to receive a compliment. And I think it's just as important to receive a compliment from somebody else, because it's about, if you give a compliment, you want that person to accept that compliment. So try and reverse that, because I'm guilty of that. Someone's like, oh, I like your top, or your hair's looking nice. You're like, oh yeah, I've just washed it. It's like, it's really hard to accept a compliment. But again, it's really, really important to accept that and, and be aware of that. And then so going back to give, you can go right up to being a volunteer and you've given your time back. And a lot of people have done stuff throughout lockdown, sort of, helping at food banks and stuff. So give's a really important one, but it's all encompassing. So it's, it can encompass a lot of different things. And so, giving opportunities for us and for others, really. Any comments on give?
Reading some research recently that said that giving actually benefits the giver more than the receiver.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I mean, I love to, I give the patients a little Wellbeing box with just some information and some like little shampoos and a tea bag and stuff. And it's like, I like to give that to them because that could be the only thing that they've ever had given to them that's for them, and it's about, but also as that question says, what do you give to yourself? What do you do for yourself? And again, it links very closely in with all the different 5 ways of wellbeing. It's like, it's not always about other people, it's about you, what you do for yourself.
Yeah, I've been looking into the whole relationship between like giving and receiving recently as well, because I recognize that I actually have quite a few challenges myself around receiving, but also because of those challenges around receiving, there are challenges around giving too, because there's that sense of like, I don't have enough within me, or like my own sense of self-worth isn't good enough to be able to then offer anything to other people. So it really does work in both ways. Of like, if there are challenges with receiving, there are probably challenges with giving as well, and starting to open yourself up to that it's okay to receive as well as to give. But actually the best way to start being more comfortable with receiving is through giving first.
Yes.
It's a really interesting relationship to explore, and to actually see like how that shows up for you in your life as well, and to really start working on that. It's been something that I'm personally looking at.
That's all good, isn't it? And it's like, and it affects us all in different ways. And I think, all these 5 ways to wellbeing, when you just say the word like giving or, and it's like, but actually there's so much more to it than just the word, giving. As you say, it's about how you feel about receiving and giving. And with all of them, there's so much to think about, and just take that time, to spend time and realize how you do feel.
I really love your point about compliments, and actually accepting a compliment is a form of giving.
Yes.
And having like been on the receiving end of, or the person giving the compliment, and then having like, oh, that's not true, that's a load of rubbish. So it doesn't feel very good. And in the end, you're like, oh, I'm just not going to say anything. So
exactly. Yeah. No. And I've always been very aware of that. It's like if someone's almost kind enough to give you a compliment, and as you say, sometimes it's really hard sometimes to give a compliment for whatever reason, is actually take it on board and say, even if you don't necessarily believe it at the time, say, thank you. That's all you need to say. But actually then you're helping not only yourself, because you're rewiring your brain to say actually it's acceptable to accept a compliment, but you're giving the person who's giving that compliment confidence enough to actually give more compliments. So, as with all these things, it's a two-way thing, isn't it? Oh, I like that. Chris has put, I baked 2 cakes and give 1 away. That's brilliant.
Really nice.
Love it. Yeah. And again, it's the simple things, isn't it? And it's like you get a cake, they get a cake. You've probably made that person's day. It's just the little things. And I think throughout lockdown, with all of these things, it's the little things that have made the difference. It's not always the big things. It's just those little things and keeping those connections with people. Yeah. Brilliant. So I did a little slide just on the key messages to sort of take away from all 5 of the different things. So, plants. I like to give away plants when I can. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
we're always.
I plan to give away vegetables when I finish growing mine.
Awesome, I'll be there. I just need to learn to cook.
There'll be plenty, so please take some.
So Connect. So the key message from Connect really is just to strengthen and broaden your range of relationships and social networks. So spend time with friends, with family, but when you feel comfortable, again, don't push yourself beyond your sometimes we do have to push ourselves a little bit beyond our comfort zone, but actually within what you feel safe to do. But I think at this time when we're coming out of lockdown, it's really important to sort of either make new connections or reconnect with the ones that you had before and trying to get those relationships back on track really. And keep learning.
I think it's really important when we're talking about Connect, especially at this time coming out of lockdown, and it's going to take some time for us to get used to the stimulation of actually seeing someone in person, because it's very different than seeing someone over a screen. There's a lot more going on. That it's really important to take that time to just have some time out, basically. Just take it slowly and don't overwhelm yourself. I've had some clients who have overwhelmed themselves by doing too much in one go. So maybe it's like, one friend this week, one friend next week. And then if I feel like I can meet 2 friends the week after, I'll do that. But, it's a comfort zone stretch again.
It is. Yeah. And I can totally relate to that, because I think we've not been used to social relationships. And actually, if someone invited me, not that I was a party goer anyway, it's not my, but if someone invited me to a big gathering of loads of people, it would be like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, because it's as you say, it's the overwhelm, isn't it? And it's about taking things slowly. And I like your point of, say, just meet with one friend this week, one next week, and just build up gradually and do the things that you're comfortable with, really. Yeah. Keep learning. Learning's for everybody. It's for all of us, and it can involve any manner of subject. Say it could be something really simple, or it could be, anything from going to a college course right down to, baking, cooking, doing any little things that you can. So I think that's an important one to take away. Being active, I think that's one of the bigger ones. Being active doesn't need to be intense physical activity. And what I've noticed about the walking group as well that we're doing, it's not just about the walking, it is the social aspect of it. One guy was super, super anxious, and by the end of it, he'd known everyone around the boating lake. He'd spoken to loads of people, including the people on the walking group. He had a cup of coffee at the end, and it was just like he was buzzing. And it's like the difference just in that sort of hour made such a difference. So activity and connections, they can all go hand in hand, really. Take notice. Again, take time to stop and be aware of your surroundings. And say when you're out on a walk or on a run, as you say, look up to the sky, look at the leaf. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, we go to the woods quite a lot. But the lushness of the green of the trees at the moment is just I don't think I've ever seen it so green. I don't know why, I'm just more heightened aware of it. But it's like, wow, how green is everything? So it's just taking notice of the things that that are around you, and more importantly, your thoughts and feelings as well. So don't ever disregard your thoughts and feelings. Pay attention to them, and if you need any help or support with them, then there's people out there to help you. And give, and just the last one we talked about, any act of kindness, whether small or large, can make you feel happier and more satisfied with life. So yeah, so that's sort of my last little bit on the 5 ways to wellbeing. And what I'll do, we can have a chat now, but I'll just leave my name and email there. So if anyone has any questions about anything from today, or just about social prescribing, or how you think it might help, or you want any help connecting with any social prescribers at your surgery, then honestly, please either get in contact with Stacey and Hayley, or just email me on that address. So is there any questions or anything that people would like to ask?
I'm just going to share a little handout, a little comfort zone worksheet, and you can download that. that's quite nice to just kind of pick one thing and decide, how you're going to implement that, what might get in the way, and what you can do to support yourself. Like, are you gonna, if you're going for a run on your own, Stacey, do you need like an accountability buddy by text?
Maybe.
Or maybe you need somebody to go for a walk with, or it's figuring out what you need, and also setting a date and a time that you're going to do it. Otherwise, if you're anything like me, I'll just procrastinate into next week, and then the next week, and then the next week. Months have gone by and I've not moved.
Before you know, a year's gone by and you've not done anything. You haven't been for a run.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Yes. Yeah. I think also with some of those, sometimes it can, there might be just like a little permission that you need to give yourself as well. So actually, Hayley, when you were just asking me some questions, then I actually came up with that I need permission to know that I can walk and not run the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that it's okay if I can only do about 5 minutes. That's fine.
That's very true.
Yep,
I was
slow.
having a conversation with someone who was talking about the cold water swimming, and that there seems to be a bit of a thing around getting in just a swimsuit, and giving yourself permission to actually wear a wetsuit and get in the water. That's quite a big thing at the minute, to just do something that isn't seen as the norm, where everyone's cold water dipping in just their swimsuit.
See, that's passed through my mind. It's something I'd like to try, but I just don't know if I could. And again, the whole self-conscious thing, and is it okay to wear a wetsuit, and are you going to look silly? Yeah. So
We'll do that together, Leanna.
Do you know what? That'd be really good. That would be really good. I would be in a wetsuit though.
Oh, me too.
So I hope everybody found that sort of interesting and managed to get something to take away from today. And I'm very aware of all these things. You may not pick up on anything, but all I ask is that if you just take one nugget of information away from something, then you've learned something, and hopefully you can implement it in your life, and just enjoy life at the end of the day, and make it your best life. I think that's the important thing, is make your life the best life you can.
Yeah. I always think it's helpful just to focus on one little aspect first as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else is kind of the same, but what I tend to feel like when I go to try and make changes in my life, I'm like, I'll try and change everything all in one go, and it becomes incredibly overwhelming. And then you just lose all motivation, and then it becomes too challenging. So maybe out of these 5 areas, it's just pick one of those areas to maybe focus on first, and then gradually develop and build on it from there.
Yeah, it's very, very good advice, actually, as you say, and I've been guilty of that. It's I'm going to change 10 things, and I'm going to do them all today. I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to run, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you're by the end of day one, you're yeah, I can't do any of them, and then you don't. So yeah,
it's a surefire way to sabotage ourselves.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. I can do that really well.
We lose motivation when things are harder than we expect it to be, when we have to put in more effort than we have expected. So it's important to realize that something actually is going to be really effortful. If I go for a run, I know that's going to be really hard, but I need to factor that into my thinking and just be okay, so just end of the road is fine.
Yes.
And then there's another tip about looking for the gift in the challenge. What are you going to get from it? Are you going to gain some new knowledge? Are you going to gain ability to really empathize with others for something else? Is it going to inspire you to do something? And then the third tip is redefining winning. So what exactly is winning to you? So like I was saying earlier, if I go for a walk, I don't need to walk all the way to the top of the hill. I can just walk to the ponies, and that's winning. That's just getting out the door is winning.
Yeah, definitely. No, you're right. I like those 3 tips. They're really good. Really, yeah. And I like, really good. I'm going to take them on board myself. Definitely.
And if anyone wants to find out more about the completing the stress cycle, there is a wonderful little book called Burnout: Solve Your Stress Cycle by Emily and Amelia Nagoski.
Write it in the chat, Hayley.
Yes. spell the word stress.
Cool.
There you go. I really recommend that. And there's also a podcast with them talking to Brené Brown on the Spotify. Just Spotify, isn't it?
Cool.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Leanna, for coming and sharing your 5 ways to wellbeing.
You're very welcome. I hope it's been useful.
Yep, lovely additions to the toolkit there.
Very insightful.
Yes. And thank you for stretching your comfort zone with us.
You're welcome. It's been stretched well and truly, but it's good. Thank you.
Especially with the audio problems earlier. We're really sorry
I was
about
like,
that.
oh my
God knows what happened.
god! If I can do this, I can do anything now, can't I? So
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you could see us, but we lost all visual and sound, so we couldn't hear anything at all going on. So we didn't know if you were in the same boat or not. So thankfully you weren't.
Well
For
done.
everyone who joined, but
awesome.
you did really well carrying on. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Oh,
And thank you everyone for coming along.
take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.